Hello everyone, welcome to a special edition of MMA Start to Finish. I'm Julian and this is Matt.
Hi.
And today, we'll actually be talking about a modern event. I know, strange. UFC Philadelphia. And the reason, I'll let you tell them why we're talking about this event.
Because it's one of the very few events that ever happens in Philly.
Yeah, hopefully next time there's not a 6-year gap between shows in the area. But yeah, we got to go in person to our first ever UFC event. Got to be amongst the crowd, the angry Philly crowd, who...
Very angry.
Very angry most of the time,
yeah.
If I'm being honest with you. Like, there was... We'll get into it for sure. There was some times when they were booing where I was like, I get it. Like, this fight does kind of blow. But there were other times, like during the Michael Johnson-Josh Emmett fight, I was like, they're clearly doing stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Like, settle down.
They got to work on stuff.
Like, we'd had up to that point 2 finishes. So they were, like, antsy as fuck.
Yeah. There was a lot of decisions tonight.
Yeah, and we're also going to do a slightly different format if you've listened to our other shows. If this is your first time stumbling across us, we normally do retro stuff where we cover old events. We just talk about all the crazy bullshit that happened in the UFC in the 90s. But we're going to go through in reverse order today, talking about the main event first. Justin Gaethje versus Edson Barboza. And I gotta say, I was extremely excited for this fight, and it did not disappoint.
Even if it did go the wrong way for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe in the post, I'll show you our predictions for this card. But, Matt won the night. He had Justin Gaethje by 3rd round KO. I had Edson Barboza by 1st round KO, and the opposite of that happened.
Yeah.
So the fight itself was just immediately crazy. They both were like, who can leg kick the hardest? And just walked out and swung baseball bats full force.
This was the only fight where I didn't look at the huge screen they have above the fight.
Yeah, the Jumbotron.
Yeah. This was the only one I looked at just at the fighters because I knew it was going to be some sort of knockout finish.
Yeah, there was a couple times tonight where, like, you look away for half a second and then dude's on the ground. And you're like, oh. Yeah, you literally don't blink. You'll miss it. That's the sport in a nutshell.
That was exactly what happened with, I think it was, I can't remember.
I think it was the Michael Johnson-Josh Emmett fight.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Where I just looked off to the side for a second, and then one person's on the floor.
You just heard a dull thud.
Yeah.
And then you look over and Michael Johnson's taking a nap.
What's kind of funny is in my peripherals watching, do we just want to say who, well, we already said who won. So,
yeah.
Barboza went down.
Yeah, spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully you've seen the event or you know the results by this point.
Seeing Barboza go down and then everyone else gets up, it's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah, there's something about the dichotomy of, like, the crowd erupts when man goes down.
Yeah.
It's cool to be a part of. Like, obviously, there's certain ways the TV viewing experience is better. You get better angles, you can see everything that happened, you have commentary, you get replays. But I will say there is value to being there in person and, like, being with the energy of the crowd and just, like, being, like, in the same room as, like, professional fights is, like, an interesting atmosphere.
Yeah. Everything feels weightier as far as, like, people going on the ground. You can hear people moving more. I don't know. It just looks more, well, it is real.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. Like,
there.
It's more visceral. Like,
Yeah.
you can, like, feel... Like, one of the fights we'll talk about a lot is, like, Ray Borg versus, I believe it was Casey Kennedy.
That, is that the one where he kept doing the thing?
Oh, he just picked him up and put him down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that fight. Ray Borg lifted him up like a fucking toddler and then just drove him into the ground.
Like,
and you could feel the floor move when
like
he did that.
Like 4 or 5 times he did that.
And by the way, we're in, like, the 13th row. We could feel the impact of those takedowns a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's get back into the main event a little bit. Dude, this is really good for Justin Gaethje because I'm not sure, you probably don't know this, but, like, before he was in something called World Series of Fighting, which is, like, a minor MMA promotion. It's not on the same level as the UFC. It's also not called World Series of Fighting anymore because that's a terrible name.
Yeah.
But Justin Gaethje was a big star over there. He comes into the UFC and at first looks really good, gets a knockout victory. I believe it was a knockout. Let me fact check that real quick. Yeah, funny enough, yeah, he comes in, he knocks out Michael Johnson, loses twice to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. No slouches. And then, after knocking out James Vick and now Barboza, you can see him, like, easily in the title picture, which is really exciting. I will say, though, I am bummed out for my boy Edson. Edson has my favorite MMA knockout, which I'm sure everybody's seen by now, that spinning wheel kick he landed on Terry Edom.
That was vicious.
It's the craziest knockout I've ever seen. I take that back. The Michael Johnson Cyborg knockout, which is the one where that dude did that flying knee and dented that man's skull.
Well,
and then threw a fucking Pokeball at him afterward, like an
Yeah.
asshole. Yeah, that was crazier. But Terry Edom is pretty close.
Well, what was crazy about it was, like, a while ago I showed you this video of the UFC video game and how the glitches were.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that because he was just stuck in a static position of, like, with his fists up.
Oh, yeah, Terry Edom, like, all his muscles just seized up as he fell back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just held that position even though he was out.
I will say, that knockout's crazy. I'm also glad that dude's okay.
Yeah.
Because that was fucking gnarly. The co-main event was... anticlimactic is unfair, because it was a decent fight, but Jack Hermanson versus David Branch ended in under a minute, guillotine submission for Jack Hermanson. When a fight ends in less than a minute, it's kind of hard to have too much analysis about it. How did you feel like the crowd reacted to that?
I honestly can't remember a thing of this fight.
Yeah, literally the only thing I remember about this fight is David Branch got choked out.
Yeah.
And, like, that's it. And the crowd goes mild.
The crowd goes mild, yeah. I know it happened. I know I was there to witness it. But, like, I guess it was just too fast for it to have too much weight behind it.
And I will say, like, normally a co-main event would be, no disrespect to David Branch and Jack Hermanson, normally be a little more important. These are ranked guys, of course. But, like, there's no title picture consequences from this fight, really. I actually thought that Josh Emmett Michael Johnson was the co-main event. So let's get into that one, because that one was a lot more interesting. So the fight goes 3 rounds. The majority of the fight is them measuring distance and setting things up. But by this point in the night, the crowd had grown very frustrated with tactical displays.
Yeah, by this point we had 8 decision
Jesus.
matches. So that's a lot of no highlights to real show up.
Yeah,
really
it is a little anticlimactic when any fight ends in a decision, but like especially when you're there.
Yeah.
And like, you know, UFC doesn't come around all the time, so all these people are like, "Oh, we're going to see crazy brawl." And then a lot of the fights, they weren't bad fights, but they weren't Justin Gaethje, Edson Barboza.
Yeah.
Like, that fight lived up to the billing. And I don't want to say everything else didn't, but I understand some of the frustration.
Yeah. Though, people were kind of booing throughout the night for any reason they could think of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a dick, but, like, I feel like there's different segments of MMA fandom, and some people don't watch the sport. I don't want to say for the right reasons, because that's up my own ass, but, like, they have very different reasons for watching the sport than we do. For them, it's just, like, I exclusively want to see, like, a barbarian shit.
Yeah,
Which I get. Like, that's fun. But, like, there's also a tactical strategy element to the sport that, like, I feel like not enough people, especially casual fans, respect. Also, you know, in all these events, you have to take into effect, these things start pretty fucking early, and they start drinking pretty early, too.
Oh, yeah.
So by this point in the night, I think everybody around us was drunk.
Just about. People in the prelims, I think, were kind of drunk.
Yeah, like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
They were fucking drunk at 3 o'clock.
And they started doing Eagles chants.
There was a lot of Eagles chants, and as an Eagles fan, I was like, this is fun and cute, like the first 4 times. They went on, I don't know if you heard them on the telecast. We should actually watch back the telecast and see how it came off, like, on TV. But
We still gotta find ourselves in the crowd.
I don't know if we'll be able to, but I'd like to
think
give
we
it a
will.
shot.
We will. I know we will. Even if it's just 2 palish dots in the crowd.
Yeah. We'll find my red Adidas track jacket.
Yeah.
That'll be the way to find me. Yeah, I don't know, man. The chants after a while, I was like, yeah, we won a year ago. Please stop. Like, as the night went on, the chants just sounded more and more defeated. Like, at first, like, the whole crowd joined in. Eagles chants, fun.
Yeah.
By Michelle Waterson, Karolina Kovacevic, it was like, yay, GL. Like, they sounded like they were dying as they were doing the chant, is my point.
No one can hold that much enthusiasm for a different sport.
for fucking 7 hours. Yeah.
I don't know how much you want to talk about just our travel to get there,
Yeah, sure.
or should we save that for later?
I mean, we're kind of all over. This is like we're kind of winging this one, behind the scenes a little bit. Normally, we would like write up a little bit of a run of show, has some stuff we're going to go over. We're just like fucking winging it right now because we don't want to take any notes in the crowd.
Yeah.
We're not that professional. Come on now.
No.
So.
Do that and we'll miss all the finishes.
Yeah, feel free to just like, if you have something you want to bring up, go ahead. So, yeah, about our travel, inform the people.
Well, we took the train to get there. We're not going to park in Philly. That's madness.
For anyone who hasn't been to South Philadelphia where the sports complexes are, it is like if there was like a scale of 1 to 10 as far as like nightmare parking driving situations, parking in those sports complexes and then leaving them when everyone's trying to leave at the same time, it's about my least favorite thing to do outside getting like skinned alive. Sounds worse.
I would not want to drive there with how many people were drinking.
That too, and also completely unrelated, but there was a Phillies game going on, so there was like a metric fuck ton of people there.
Oh yeah. We took, I guess you could call them 2 trains to get there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Our second train technically broke.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, tell that story.
When we have big events going on in here, in our town, they cut out some of the stops just to speed things up for people to get where they want to go.
Yeah, they have an express route for the events.
Yeah. So, we weren't supposed to stop anywhere, but we did, and they weren't at stops.
Just in the middle of the fucking subway on Broad Street.
Yeah. And we're like, okay.
This is weird.
Weird.
Yeah.
But we would chug along after that. And once we finally got to the sports area, there was an announcement over the rail car saying, please leave.
Please exit the vehicle immediately for your safety.
Yeah, repairs need to be made on this.
Yeah. We're like, what the fuck, dude? How long were we in danger for?
Yeah.
Have we been in danger since Spring Garden?
Yeah.
What's going on? I don't even want to know what was wrong. Let's be real here. They were like, well, the lights on the train stopped working, but we figured we'd try anyway.
I feel like
I'd be upset.
I feel like the lights not working wouldn't stop the train.
It's a fair point.
That makes me wonder if something was up with like
mechanically.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd have to be.
I guess it wouldn't be the brakes unless they're like too active.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that thing. For anyone who's not ridden a subway, those things go really fast and they're really loud. So I imagine they suffer through quite a bit of wear and tear. So let's get on Josh Emmett and Michael Johnson a little bit. Win almost fought all the full 3 rounds. We mentioned it before now that I think about it, but it was mostly a tactical matchup until the end where Josh just slept Michael Johnson. And I don't want to say that was the first KO of the night, because it wasn't. There was a finish earlier in the night. But that was the first, like, oh, shit, and, like, everybody stands up and is like, oh, damn, like, afterward.
Yeah.
It was the first one of those of the night.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The Desmond Green versus Ross Pearson knockout, it was a lot quicker, and, I don't know, I think that was on the ground, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a TKO. So, like, he dropped him and, like, wobbled him a little bit and then finished him on the ground. Desmond Green, Ross Pearson, that is. Whereas, like, Josh Emmett, Michael Johnson, Justin Gaethje, Edson Barboza, those ended with, like, one-punch man shots.
Yeah.
That just sent a dude, like, eating shit onto the ground.
Yeah.
So it's just, like, a whole different... They have one here. Like, the Desmond Green, Ross Pearson one's technically a TKO, which means dude wasn't, like, out. But the other ones are knockouts.
Yeah.
So up next, we have Michelle Waterson versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And it was a good fight.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of and I don't mean this in like a derogatory way, but like when I'm watching women's MMA, I don't have the same expectation of like a knockout that I have when I'm watching men's MMA. And that's not to say there aren't knockouts in women's MMA, because there like definitely are, and they're brutal as well. But it's just way less common, especially at strawweight. So going into this fight, I was like, this is probably going to go to decision, and I'm okay with that. And it was a good decision. It was a good fight.
Yeah. The big thing I noticed with this is on the Jumbotron, they had what was being broadcasted to everyone at home. But being there in person, you can't see how much physical damage there is. But on the Jumbotron, it's like, oh my god, her face is just blood.
Yeah, that is something I noticed too. It's hard to see the damage accumulation in person.
Yeah, we were like 100 feet away.
Yeah, we weren't
that.
like front row or anything. We watched the event, and like outside of the knockouts, I didn't think anybody got fucked up that bad. But then I get home and I go on Twitter and I pull up, my Twitter feed, and I see a picture of Jessica Aguilar and Marina Rodriguez in the hospital together, and they just look like they've been in a car accident. And I'm like, man, I would not have thought they both got that messed up watching that fight.
Yeah. They feel faster in person, too.
I agree. It feels a lot faster in person.
I think it's because I noticed this with the Jumbotron. The camera does follow people because they are moving, obviously.
Yeah.
But when you're just watching the fight, they're just people moving in the ring. It's not the ring moving around them, if that makes sense.
I hear what you're saying. The perspective is changed because you have a static perspective because you're a person. So you're just sitting there as opposed to like a camera that's moving around tracking them. So it feels like more, like you said, we use the word real, but that's not even really the word I want to use. It's like more, for anybody who's been at a fight, like if you've had a similar experience, leave your comment. I want to know what differences you guys see from watching these things on TV and watching them in person.
Even with other sports, like with football, they're following the people moving. But when you're in there in person, you see how fast they're moving across the field and how hard they're hitting other people.
Yeah.
Whereas on TV, it's following someone and watching them get hit, and it just doesn't have the same impact, I guess.
That's a good way to put it. I will say, though, on the note of like other sports, too, I've been every major sporting league except the NFL. So I've been to like Flyers games, I've been to Phillies games, I've been to Sixers games. Generally, outside of like the drunk booing, a much quieter crowd than other sporting events I've been to. Like throughout the night, on average, it was pretty quiet in there. Like if you just wanted to yell something dumb, people would definitely hear it. Whereas like at a fucking Flyers game, you shouldn't. But if you yelled some crazy shit, people might not notice.
This is like the second, I guess, third sporting event I've ever been to. Because I've only ever been to two others. One was like a local pro wrestling event.
Long ago.
Yeah,
I remember
that was forever ago. And the other one was like a baseball game when I was like 7.
Shout out to Combat Zone Wrestling.
Yeah.
Those fucking lunatics.
It was kind of crazy. In my adult life, this is my first sporting event.
This is my first MMA event, and I gotta say, it was a good time.
Yeah.
So let's run through some more of the main card here. We got some fun stuff to dig into here. Paul Craig versus Kennedy. Last name I'm not trying to pronounce because I know I'm gonna botch it. So I'm sorry, Kennedy. Paul Craig defeated Kennedy by triangle at 4:20 of the third round.
Nice.
And I'll let you outline the way we experienced this fight.
Our experience was a very European experience because our seats weren't directly next to this man and his friend.
People moved around a lot.
But they ended up next to this man and his friend.
Yeah.
We met a very nice gentleman named Chris. Chris self-described himself as a 300-plus pound Scotsman.
Does he say that? I
Yes.
missed that. That's funny.
There's a lot I missed from him.
Yeah, he is, and I definitely don't mean this in a mean way, but like, it's the kind of Scottish accent where I feel bad because I don't know what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, you're speaking English. Like, I recognize words in there, but especially like at a sporting event, I was like, man, I can understand maybe 30% of what this dude is saying.
It didn't help that he was most definitely drunk.
Oh, 1,000% drunk. Yeah. Him and his friend kept trying to buy his beers.
Yeah.
Because they kept walking up, because they got up a bunch of times to like, get food and whatever, and they felt bad because they're like a lot bigger than us, and they kept making us stand up and shit, and they were like, oh, we'll get you a beer, and I was like, nah, man, thanks though. Like, that's cool.
Chris was an interesting fellow. He went on about movies.
Really?
Yeah,
I missed some of this because he was sitting next to you, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very talkative.
Yeah.
And I'm not super talkative, so with a stranger who is it was kind of like meeting a real life Shrek
Yeah, dude, and in a nice way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the nicest way I can think of. He wasn't mean at all. He was very
Boisterous.
expressive with how he felt about things.
I believe one of the heckles that he tossed out during the Paul Craig fight, because for those of you that don't know, Paul Craig, one of very few Scottish fighters in the UFC. So when it was Paul Craig's turn to fight, our friend Chris got very excited.
Oh, yes.
Very fucking excited. And then also, like, would shout out, like, you fucking pussy, and then immediately apologize to the lady sitting in front of him for profanity.
Yeah.
And then, like, half a second later, you fucking pussy! Yeah, it was hilarious. It was a good time, and I'm really glad we got to see that dude react to Paul Craig choking him out in the last couple seconds.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. Now I saw him setting up that triangle all fight too, because I know Paul Craig has good submission skills.
That was a quick triangle, too.
Yeah, he sunk that thing in real quick. He only had 40 seconds to end it.
And he lost... Paul Craig lost the first 2 rounds easily.
We should also note, now that I'm looking at it too, I think, yeah, Kennedy was deducted 1 point in round 3 due to repeated eye pokes. There was like 3 or 4 of those. It got a little out of hand.
They've stopped it quite a few times.
They deducted a point too, which is reasonable.
Very large, drunk Scottish man sees Scottish man win. Big cheers from Scottish man.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited. It was a good time.
I kind of wish that I had gotten, like, his Facebook or something.
We should have taken a picture with him.
Yeah.
We should have taken a picture with him. Oh, fun fact, by the way, you don't even know this yet, but so he was talking to me about like soccer earlier, and he mentioned how his team's like the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently, and I had completely forgotten about this until I told my dad this when we came home. But my old neighbors in Ben Salem have like Scottish ancestry, and we were like close. So my neighbor's dad, so like this old man from Scotland, bought me as like a little kid this little like kit for a kit's the word for like jersey in soccer.
Yeah.
So like this little jersey for this Scottish soccer club. Guess what club? The Rangers.
Oh.
Apparently in that closet somewhere is a little Rangers uniform.
He would have
He would
exploded.
have loved that.
excitement
Yeah, I
if
wish
he
I
had
would have
worn
remembered that and told him, but a fun dude to talk to for sure.
that. Yeah. He made that fight much more entertaining.
It's true. So we're gonna jump around a little bit now here because no offense, not every fight on this card is worth spending 15 minutes on. So we're just gonna go through what stood out to us from the event, from the fights we saw. One fight I did want to talk about, and I mentioned briefly earlier, was Marina Rodriguez defeating Jessica Aguilar by decision. And I mentioned, not that it wasn't a good fight, but it didn't seem like anybody got like seriously hurt until I got to see the aftermath.
Yeah, the pictures afterward with one of them in a cast and one in crutches, was it?
Yeah, that's what it was. I can pull it up because I sent it to you. Yeah, there. We have a picture open up for us. Maybe I'll put it in post, but Jessica has like 2 big cotton swabs shoved up her nose, presumably broken nose, and Marina is standing there, arm around her, in a fucking sling with 2 aggressive black eyes.
I think one arm's in a sling and the other is like bandaged
Oh,
up.
that is casted up, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
So 2 broken arms.
Jesus. The price of war, dude.
Yeah.
For our entertainment. Now let's talk about the first finish of the night. Desmond Green defeating Ross Pearson in the first round via TKO. I'm trying to like remember a ton about this fight, but I will say I actually have like a less clear memory of some of these fights than I do like when we watch like on TV.
I think that's because we're constantly going back and forth between the Jumbotron and the real fight in front of us.
Yeah, that is definitely something you have to balance, and something I didn't think about that much when not that like I wouldn't have bought the tickets for this reason, but there was certainly a balancing act of like, depending on where they were standing and if the referee / cameraman was in the way, gotta look up at the Jumbotron and then like know when to look down when they're back in your eyesight, because of course you'd rather just watch them, rather not watch the Jumbotron, but sometimes it's a necessary evil, and it does kind of obscure your view of like details. The last fight we'll talk about in any real detail is the main event of the early prelims. Supposed to be a bantamweight, wound up being a catchweight fight because Ray Borg missed weight by a few pounds. Ray Borg against Casey Kennedy. And the crowd and me and Matt watching this fight, I didn't notice. I've seen a lot more 50-50 decisions where people are more outraged than this one. Like, I expected to go on Twitter and see a lot of people upset that Ray Borg lost that decision. Because, like, it felt like everybody there was like, what the fuck? Like, really?
My thought on it was, I don't know, because I was in the moment seeing Borg toss Kenny.
Yeah, pick him up like a sack of potatoes.
Like 4 or 5 fucking times.
And it's weird because, like, how do you measure how much that really helps you in a fight, right? Like, certainly it helps your case that you're able to pick up this grown man like he's a child and put him down. Like, that helps you win a decision. But you have to, like, accumulate damage while you do that. And I guess in the eyes of our judges,
that was not worth anything.
not enough. Yeah, not enough. I mean, maybe if I watch this fight back on, like, a television broadcast, maybe there's something on the feet Kenny landed and had some better stand-up exchanges than I remember. But of course, based off of my in the moment judging of the fight, it seemed like Ray Borg had the upper hand.
The most of the fight I was saying, stop doing that, stop picking him up.
Yeah, because I had Ray Borg. Maybe I'll edit in our predictions in post too, but in our predictions, I had Ray Borg winning by sub, and my friend Matt here had Kenny winning by decision.
And just so happens they borked it up.
Just so happens he won by decision.
For me. That was the only perfect pick I got tonight. We should probably explain how we score these.
Yeah, just briefly, because this is like extremely inside baseball shit. But the UFC used to do their own like fantasy thing where like you'd like pick fights and you'd get points. It was through their website. And then me and Matt started doing that together. And then like 3 months in, they were like, we're just gonna completely cancel this service.
Yep.
So we were like, fuck you, UFC. We'll make our own spreadsheet. So we opened up Excel, made our own scoring system. Basically, it's similar to what the UFC used to have, where like you predict the winner, the method, and the round, and then you get points depending on how close you were. So the way we have it set up is if you get one of those factors right, you get 1 point. If you get the fighter wrong, by the way, you don't get any points. But like if you get the fighter right, you get 1 point. If you get the fighter and method or round right, you get 2 points. If you get a perfect, we give you 4 points, just to have like a bonus for getting it perfect.
And for title fights, there's an extra point.
Yeah, we had a bonus point for title fights.
Yeah. And our scores ended up coming to Julian with 14 points and me with 18 points.
We keep a year-long, I guess, record of like where we're at. And currently in the standings, Matt is up 5 points on me throughout 2019.
Yeah.
We haven't watched every event, by the way.
No.
It's on and off. We got all the big ones. We got the pay-per-views this year.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, fun little fact. I went to go to the bathroom after one of the fights and just running around the concourse. Saw Aljamain Sterling. Just looking for beer, apparently. With his gold chain and all. So shout out to Aljamain for being a man of the people. Holy shit, Matt. I just realized something. You only got 2 people wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that good.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I wasn't like super accurate with
No.
everything. I just got the fighters right.
Hey, that got you up 4 points.
True. But also, I'm kind of sad that we aren't able to get like our records from those very first few fights.
Yeah.
Because I knew nothing, but I was doing really well.
That's the thing about predictions in MMA, man. You can just kind of be like, fuck this guy, and shit'll happen. I've been watching this sport consistently for like 4 or 5 years. I'm still dog shit at predictions. Like, I have no... I thought Edson Barboza was going to fuck Justin Gaethje up. Like, I really thought he was going to come out and spinning wheel kick his ass and knock him out in the first round.
Nope.
The opposite.
Yep.
And I heard somebody else, this isn't my point, I'm kind of jacking this point about the fight, but, like, something Justin has realized is that because he's so aggressive, his opponents have a tendency to try to, like, I don't want to say run, but, like, create some space. And he's picked up on that because in the past 2 knockouts over Vic and Barboza, you see him catch them with like a hook as they're exiting. So he's like, you're going to try and run because I'm aggressive. So I'm going to slow down, realize you're running, and then catch you on the way out.
True. That was exactly what happened.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see him again. Let's do this. Let me pull up. So if we look at the rankings here, and they have been updated since because Justin Gaethje was ranked 8th, and Edson Barboza was ranked 6th, and now Gaethje's up at 5, Barboza's down to 8. There's a lot of... The problem with lightweight in the UFC is there's just such a fucking log jam. We get the Biggie Tupac scenario going on with fucking Khabib and Conor at the top. That's that division. So, got that going on. Got Dustin Poirier fighting Max Holloway for the interim title like in 2 weeks. Bunch of crazy random shit going on. So, unfortunately, I don't see a clear path to, the title for Justin Gaethje. But I don't know, man. Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, Cowboy, Kevin Lee, any of those fights, take my fucking money right now. So that's going to do it for us on this special event coverage of UFC Philadelphia. Coverage from, I use the word coverage extremely lightly, of course, from people at the event. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Please feel free to check out our other videos where we break down and talk shit about the history and founding of MMA. We're watching all the events, motherfuckers. We're starting at UFC 1. We're up to 11 now, I think.
Yeah.
And the idea at some point, once we're like 70 years old, we're going to work our way back to where we are today.
Oh, God.
So I think we're in the 90s right now. We're on our way. 96, is it?
Yeah, it's slowing down pretty quick.
We're almost to the point where I was born.
I'm just glad that... I like what ESPN's doing. They're making things go a lot faster.
Oh my God, yeah, I should have mentioned that forever ago. The pacing was great.
Yeah, we were out of there by like 10:45.
Yeah, that's about right.
Whereas
actually no, dude, we were out of there because remember we were trying to catch that 10:26 train, so we were out of there at like 10.
Yeah.
They started this event early for the East Coast, which thank you UFC, thank you so much because the trains don't run that late. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have gotten home. Normally main card starts 10 p.m. That's pretty standard, even on East Coast shows. But 7 p.m. main card start time, 3:30 early prelim time. We spent a full day there, but got out at a pretty reasonable time.
It's just so much nicer than, because like the events that we have right now, where most of them are in Vegas, we're usually done watching them by like
1 in the morning.
No, nowadays. With
Depends
ESPN.
With ESPN. Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about... Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
With ESPN, we're done most of these cards by like 10:30.
That sounds right.
10:45.
There's way less ad filler, man. I don't want to, beat up on Fox too much, but... I mean, you agree, right? Like, the telecast from Fox, there was a commercial, like, every 8 seconds, and they drug out between fights, like, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Here, there's, like, 8 minutes between fights. It's great.
Because I think the worst thing that Fox did was they allotted time. So if a fight finished within 46 seconds, like we had tonight, then you just have to wait the 14 minutes.
I think they still do that, but we had so many decisions that it didn't seem like they were doing that. You know what I mean? Because they didn't have the downtime because almost every fight went to decision. I think they still have that system where they're like, your fight starts at... I actually have no idea. I've never looked into this. This is like pure speculation. If anybody knows how this works, let us know in the comments. I've long thought that the way it works is that they have like a scheduled time when their fight's going to go on. That way, regardless of how fast the fight's before theirs, proceed, they have a general idea of about when they're going to fight. Now, that's just me surmising things like logically. I don't have any like real evidence of that, but that certainly feels like the cause of a lot of the pacing problems. But with that said, like Matt has mentioned, since we've been on ESPN, the pacing feels way better even when there's not decision-filled cards.
They've cut out like almost 2 hours of viewing time.
I think so. That's why I was confused earlier, because of the Fox broadcast, we were up to like 1.
Yeah, we were
husks when we were done. Like,
Yeah.
It's just too long. It's just too many.
Driving home, it's just dead outside. Which is kind of nice because I can be real relaxed about it, but the light coming out of your neighborhood is
Barely
slow.
Functional.
So I'll end up just turning to... This is probably illegal. So I'm supposed to turn left, but the light isn't turning, so I'll turn right and then just turn around.
Pull a U-turn?
Yeah, and then turn and go through the green light that's still persisting.
What the cops don't know won't hurt them.
No.
And on that note, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you for listening. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the show. And we'll see you guys back here for some more retro MMA. See you later.
Bye, we love you.